Welcome to Langley Speedway. My name is Justin. I am the owner of Team 53. We have partnered with Coach Dave Academy to provide setups and tutorial videos, telemetry data for Delta subscribers for the Advanced Legends cars, SK Modified, Tour Modified, Late Model Stock, and Super Late Model. Today I am going to talk about Langley Speedway and the rookie street stocks. If you're new to iRacing, if you're converting over from road course and just want to give ovals a shot, this video hopefully will help you get up to speed a little bit faster at Langley. So we'll dive right in here to qualifying. All right, so here we are on pit road getting ready to qualify. Let's talk about a couple of concepts here before we just dive right into qualifying. We need to talk about tire heat. Tire heat is a very big thing on iRacing. Too little tire heat, you don't have enough grip, your car's not going to go fast. Too much tire heat, and it's actually going to slow your speed down. So it's all about optimizing that tire heat. The other thing is making sure that we have momentum built up. The street stocks are a very underpowered car. They're meant for rookies. So as such, you've really got to kind of keep that momentum built up, and you've got to build that momentum really, really well. So we're going to come out here for qualifying. What normally you would do is you'd peel off pit road. And then when we start to go around this corner, you're going to notice that I'm doing some stuff with the gas and the brake. So when I turn to the left, I'm hard on the brake. And then when I turn to the right, I'm hard on the throttle. So as we come out of the pits here, this is what I'm doing, right? And then in a real-time speed, this is kind of what it looks like. So it's really fast. You can hear that engine revving up and going for it. Now, as we get to this blue cone, this is the blue cone, at which point, if you've ever been in a race session or a practice session and it tells you that you unsafely exited the pits, chances are it's because you tried to enter the track before you cross the blue cone line. So in iRacing, anytime you're coming out of the pits, you got to make sure you go to the blend line, which is marked with a blue cone and a blue paint line. So we come out here on track. And then we're just going to kind of wind up our lap. So we're going to go high in 3 and 4 and get good momentum going down the front stretch to maximize our speed at the start-finish line. That's really what we're trying to do here. So my start-finish line speed for this is about 90 miles an hour. We're already kind of turning into turn 1 here, and you're going to notice that we're going to lift right about the time that this wall changes from being solid concrete to these removable barriers. There's a light post here. That's kind of our frame of reference for it. So we're going to use a little bit of brake just to kind of set the nose of the car and get the car slowed up. Anytime I'm going into this corner, I always aim to try and catch those left side tires right here on this dash line. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't work, but that's my aim. And then as we approach the corner, your goal is going to be this little contact patch here that runs through the track all the way around this corner. You want to get your right side tires in it. So as you can see right here, as we enter that contact patch, I'm not doing anything with my brake, not doing anything with my throttle. I'm just letting the car rotate. And now here at Langley, you're going to notice as you're going through the corner kind of straightens out and then it gets a hard elbow almost. And it's at this point here where it straightens out on a qual run, if you've adequately tire heated, that you can start to get back on the throttle. And you can see as I get back on the throttle, I'll kind of release the wheel a little bit. So that elbow is really your point where you can really get on the throttle and get a really, really good drive off the corner. While the car will feel like you can get on throttle early, you really want to wait so that way you're pushing the car forward under acceleration and not necessarily sliding the rear behind you as you're accelerating out. So we drive around this corner here, pretty much full throttle. We're going to bring this car almost all the way out to the wall here at Langley. And that will set you up for a really, really good arc into turn 3. So here we are out to the wall. And now we're already basically turning right in. And then we're going to lift right about this Thursday night's billboard. It's really kind of, there's not too much to really look at. I guess you could count these dashes, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 dashes or so. before that corner down here on the bottom of the track would be my lift point. We're going to give it some brake. And then just like turn 1 and 2, where we aimed for the contact patch, in 3 and 4, we're going to look for that contact patch again, and we're going to try and get those right side tires right through it. So here we're just going to ride through. You can notice gas and brake, we're just rotating the car. Give it a little bit of throttle to see if the nose is there. And then here about halfway or so, we're going to start to give it some throttle, and we'll really start to gas it up after we pass this red line here on the exit of the corner. So now we're giving it more gas, and notice how I'm still not back to complete full throttle yet. And now when we go through what would be kind of the restart zone, we go to full throttle. And then we get a nice drive off and a great lap of a 166. So I'll be right back and we'll go over some race laps. All right, race laps here at Langley are going to be very similar to what a qualifying lap is going to look like. These cars are built to run probably about 35-40 laps. So about the length of your rookie race, you should be good to go. There is a component to saving some tire. And we'll kind of talk about that a little bit in through here. So as you noticed in our qualifying lap, we ran like a 16.1, something really, really fast. In our race trim, we're never going to come close to that, and we don't want to, because if we're running the same lap times in our race trim that we're running in our qualifying trim, we're not going to have any tire left at the end of the race to finish off. So for me, I know that if I back it down about 2/10 from my qualifying lap, I should be okay on tires. So that's exactly what we're going to do here for our race laps. We're going to come out. This would be kind of your green flag lap. And again, it's going to look very similar to the qualifying lap. Remember, we ran through 1 and 2 right through this contact patch. We're lifting. We're free rotating the car through the center of the corner. At this elbow here, where the track kind of straightens and bends, that's where we're getting back on throttle to give us forward drive off. We're going down here into 3. We're putting the right side tires in that contact patch, free rotate, and then throttling up here as we go out on exit of the corner. And that lap was a 300. So we're right around that perfect lap speed. iRacing really, really, really rewards you, especially in the rookie class, for not overdriving your car. So what do we mean by overdriving? You don't want to drive it into the corner super deep. You don't want to get on throttle super early. Why? You're going to burn off your right front. You're going to burn off your right rear. You're not going to have a good time. You'll spin out. You'll wreck. So it's just kind of watching that and knowing what your pace needs to be. Some things to kind of think about racecraft wise, right? So whenever we talk about races, we got two things that we're going to talk about. We've got our line and our pace, what we need to do. But then there's two, racecraft and acknowledging that someone might be faster than you at a certain point, and it's okay to let them go. Especially in rookies where your goal is to get out of rookies to move on to whether it's the ARCA car, the SK mod, the SRX car, to move on to the next step, right? So we have to race rookies a little bit differently. If you get into the corner, right, and you notice that someone is right on your bumper or they tap you to try and tell you to move, right, it's okay to go into the next corner and go into the second lane and just let them go. If you give up 3 or 4 spots, but you run a clean race with 0x, you're going to move on faster than the guy who finishes a race with 4x's but wins every time. So it's just really thinking about what your goals are for rookies. Langley is primarily a bottom dominant track, meaning that the bottom lane is the preferred line. So if you're a lapped car, if you're just really slow, you're just kind of struggling, you're really trying to learn the track, run this second line if you see the leaders start to approach. The last thing as a lap car, especially at Langley, that you want to do is to run high down the straightaway and then go low in the corner, down or high in the corners, low down the straightaway. Just run high completely until they come by you. Run low and just let them know, hey, I'm running low. Go by me on the outside. Langley is also kind of unique in that there is this apron area that if you understand and you know that there's bumps down there, you can go down there to avoid. but it's primarily a bottom dominant track. It's a very difficult track to pass at, and that's where we talk about, the forward progression versus the sideways progression, being able to get going faster. So something that I want to talk about too is adjustments that you can make in a fixed race. So iRacing in a fixed series race, a fixed setup series race, says that you can only change the steering ratio, the steering offset, and the brake balance bar. So it's really good to know what these things do. Steering ratio on short tracks, and in this video, I'm going to use an 8-to-1 steering ratio. So what that means is that for every 8 degrees of steering wheel input that I put in, my tires are moving at 1 degree. If I run a 12-to-1, that means that it's going to take 12 degrees of steering wheel rotation to move my wheels, my tires, 1 degree. This is really a matter of personal preference. Like I said, I prefer an 8-to-1. It gives me a little bit quicker box. The car feels like it's a little bit heavier and it's easier for me to control. Steering offset. So with it at 0, basically when you're in a real car, in an actual car, and you have your quick release steering wheel, and you'll see sometimes like NASCAR drivers will pull off to the side to re-index their wheel, right? So there's that tape line at the top of your wheel. And at 0 degrees, that tape line is centered, right? If you go to like a -6, that tape line is basically you taking your wheel off and moving it so that that tape line is over 6 degrees. So it would be to the left 6 degrees. Same thing if you go to +6, your steering wheel would then be tilted, that white line would be tilted to the right. So I usually use a +4. What that does is, like specifically at like a track like Langley, where you're never completely straight with your wheel, by having it at +4, my wheel will be straight just for a couple seconds down the straightaway. And then your brake balance bar, basically the higher percentage, so if you go 56 is the most that you can do in a street stock, that's going to be tighter under braking. You won't get as loose as, I guess it'd be understeer for some of you guys that are coming from the road. Um, Higher percentage understeer tight. A lower percentage is going to be oversteer loose. One of the things that you can do in the car is you can map a button to be your brake bias setting on your wheel. And then what you can do is you can change that throughout a run. So it might be that, 20 laps into it, you need to make the car a little bit freer on entry to help you. And that's something you can do. For this video, I'm going to run at about 53.6. So 8-to-1 +4, 53.6 seems to work out really, really well for me. But all of these numbers are purely driver preference and subjective to whatever you might like. So I hope you guys have a great race and enjoy.